What's up, guys? Jamil here. I know it's been a minute since I've talked to you guys on the YouTube, and I just wanted to drop in and say hi. I know where I last left you, on the way to Thailand. Came back, everything was pretty good, but my health problems came back, and I had to dip out for a bit. And I just wanted to touch base with everyone on the YouTube channel just because a couple of people have reached out. I have provided updates on the newsletter, but some of you don't have the newsletter. I recommend you get onto that because that's where my most consistent form of communication is right now. So basically, I went to Thailand last month, had a lot of fun, did as much as I could to relax my nervous system and just chill the hell out for a bit after the compounding stress that I've had over the last 7 to 8 months. Had a great time. I'm going to fill you guys in on all of the good and the bad of that very shortly. But once I got back from Thailand, my stress just came back and it became worse, and it was really compounding. And I think that's just post-holiday depression plus realizing that none of my fucking problems have actually disappeared. So what was happening was I came back, and then within a week, basically, I told you my nervous system was fried, my fight or flight mode, my stranger danger was just absolutely flaring. So I would wake up basically in shock in the mornings at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and an anxiety, and having basically just waking up to a panic attack, which is no fun, right? And so that wasn't great. And that went away for a little bit whilst I was away in Thailand, and a little bit whilst I came back. But after that, I couldn't actually get to sleep, which is even worse, right? So literally, I would nod off, just as I was falling asleep, the same frightening awakening that I would have at 4 a.m. was happening now at 10, 11, 12. And then for a couple of days there, I couldn't actually sleep at all. And I had to get on Valium from a doctor to actually calm my nervous system down. And yeah, so I was like, man, fuck this. I've really just got to take some better care of myself and really process all of the trauma, all of the compounding stress out of my body, and just not do a lot and not push my nervous system for a while. And that's what I've been doing, is that I slowed down again, putting out content consistently, video content, on top of the mountain of what I call the big three, rather. I call this the big three of the things that I need to do in my family to get my life back in order. It's a lot, dude. It's a fucking lot, and I'm not afraid to admit it, that, I've been pushing myself way too hard in the situation. Part of that is anxiety and just, trying to push against the walls of time, as I like to say, about getting through this period of life, trying to actually get a job, look after my family, make sure they're safe. Now, we are safe, don't get me wrong, but it's just getting out of this chapter. Where I'm staying right now, as you can see, I'm outside. It's a beautiful Sunday morning as I film this. We're just in we're in a transitory period. We're in purgatory still, because, well, I feel like I'm definitely in purgatory at the very least, because I don't have a day job to get my life back in order. I need to get a day job to keep my family stable and support them through this transitionary period, which has been a challenge because the tech market has sucked ass. And I got screwed over by Accenture a few months ago, as I've let some of you guys know. And so, those priorities on top of my mental health and actually having to stay in ideal physical and mental condition so I can deal with all this stuff at once, I hadn't been prioritizing myself. I had been constantly giving myself and giving my energy away to anxiety, to stress, to the unknown. And that's just the reality of life, man. I do talk about trying to be calm and maintain a calm nervous system. But look, I'm relearning this. I didn't have these skills 5 years ago, not even really 3 or 4 years ago, to be quite honest. So when major shit like this happens, I'm just telling you, you revert back into old software, old programming, old stress, because this is all family stuff. And to be, perfectly brutally honest with you guys, I didn't come from a healthy, happy home. Like, I am keeping together a bunch of shit at the moment, more than anything else, and picking up a lot of brutal pieces that I've had to come to terms with over the last 7 to 8 months about the reality of my family and just how fucked up they are, to be blunt, right? And I will actually talk about more, all of this a lot more. I'll explain it in a bit. But yeah, like keeping my head above water, I've had to really put boundaries and prioritizing my well-being for a while. That means minimizing the content because it's a creative process and it takes energy out of you, focusing on just practices for me, a lot more self-care. And so what does that look like? That looks like more therapy. That looks like, um, bathing and relaxing the physical nervous system. It means filling up my cup with fun and doing things that I enjoy. And yeah, just literally physically processing as much compounded stress out of my neck, shoulders, nervous system as much as possible because we do store stress and trauma energetically in the body. We're like human batteries for that shit. And yeah, like it's just built up over time after 12 extreme months of stress. And it's not as simple as just being like, I'm okay again. You like a cramp, like a knot in your muscles, you have to physically manipulate a lot of this stuff out as well as mentally process it as well. So that's what I've just been doing for the last few weeks. And, very happy to say I'm off the Valiums. I'm sleeping a lot more consistently now. I'm being woken up pretty consistently at like 5:30 in the morning with a bit of stress and being like, "Whoop, got shit to do today." But compared to actually jolting up in literal anxiety and panic attacks and not being able to sleep, it's a huge step forward. And so for me, like I've now that I've actually feel more rested, I'm much deeper out. So I'm not so deeply into survival mode, and I'm still humming along. Plus, we've got some great progress in getting a job and all this family stuff that we'll talk about later. Yeah, I've actually started to feel the creative juice come out again. So I've been working on the EQ and Sales Masterclass. If you're on part of the newsletter, then you would be getting the drafts of that and the email course of that, which I am going to create into a book, into an ebook. So again, the creative juices are coming back. They're just coming in a different format. And so I guess what I want to say with you guys is that, yeah, I'm alive, I'm healthy, and I appreciate, it's just so nice to be putting myself out into the world and people resonating and responding with, checking in on me, and it's fucking great. And I really, really appreciate it. Like, for someone that 3-4 years ago was afraid to be seen on camera, and to now, have be able to put myself out there and people respond and buy my things and support what I'm doing. Like, yeah, it's great. Man, those are the things I have to look back on of like, man, I've actually made so much fucking progress in this creator world and in this journey. And I just have you to thank. That's why I wanted to touch base. I guess what I'm doing next, for the next phase, is that I'm focusing on my big three, my personal stuff for now. So I'm actually tomorrow going to Sydney when I'm filming this. So on Monday, I don't know, I think I'll put this on Tuesday. So I'll ideally have finished the final negotiations on a job as a business development executive. It's something really exciting. And that's probably going to be a new content stream instead of the building and public vlogs. So that'll be really exciting. I'll tell you guys all about that if this job comes through. I'm mid-stage at a couple of other tech companies that I think I'm a good shot at as well. Yeah, I'm working on the newsletter for now. I'm focusing on the newsletter, getting this ebook out, getting the masterclass out into a tangible, not just a video course or whatever, an actual ebook, because I think people want a variance in the content that you receive from me, so you don't have to just watch videos all the time. So we want to get off our screens as much as we can and just, be able to read at your own pace. So the ebook I'm working on that. And that's what I'm trying to say here is I'm working on one creative project at a time to maintain my my physical stress and mental stress. The ADHD brain loves to have plenty of unopened loops, and I've got plenty of half-assed creative projects that are sitting on my computer right now. I'm trying to discipline myself into a new way of thinking and just focusing on one creative project at a time. And that means ideally getting the ebook, the majority of that ebook out and ready before I focus on going back into podcasting. So I'm going to bring back my Binge Thinker podcast. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'll be honest with you guys, like talking about tech sales all the time is fucking boring. Like it's so one-dimensional. I'm trying to be a multi-dimensional individual. Like if I'm building this brand of who I am and of our authenticity and helping people, I can't just be talking about tech sales all the time because like it is just one facet of the human experience that I'm interested in. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy it, but like I miss being able to talk shit and have fun. Like I'm not having fun in this business, and this is supposed to be a reflection of me and my values, and basically trying to monetize and productize myself and what I'm capable of for you, the good people. And that simply means having fun and being able to talk a bit of shit because that's who I am. Like I break through to customers and I break through to people because I am easy to get along with, and I do have extremely high EQ, and I am very personable, and I wanted to be a creative before I wanted to be a tech salesperson, right? I was a comedian. I was obsessed with comedy as a kid. I was a professional musician before I was before I was a tech seller, and that creative impulse and the more feminine side that we all have, the more feminine energy of creativity and music, I need to express that, and I've been extremely unbalanced towards the masculine energy of building and creating for the last few years. And again, I've just been out of balance. I don't regret being out of balance and building something that I'm passionate about and believe in, but I've got to play a longer game with what I'm doing. And that longer game is a game of balance, of actually fulfillment. Making this just as fulfilling for me as it is helpful for you. And again, I do enjoy the tech sales stuff. I'm coaching at the moment. I'm enjoying creating the content and building things out. But I've just been so focused on doing things for other people and not doing things that fulfill me for the last 12 months, I guess, or let's just call it 8 with the family shit, that I need to build alignment. And that means getting back into podcasting, be able to express myself and have a bit of fun in the content that I create and actually just connect with people. And I did 100 episodes of my podcast, and it was a tough process, but I really enjoyed it. It actually helped me get out of my skin and get out of my fear of being seen in public and seen on a camera. And I got to talk about so many more things that are interesting and what actually people come to me about. I mean, you come for the tech sales stuff, I get it, but the interesting people, the people that come in for deeper stuff, they come in for a bit more. It's about spirituality. It's about self-actualization. It's about finding purpose and finding inner clarity. And I'm a few steps ahead of people that are waking up and doing this work on themselves. And it's hard to find good examples of that, particularly in the manosphere, as we would call it, where it's not just a bunch of dudes just being like, or Andrew Tate shit. I've actually, I come from this from a much more aligned, more conscious way of just being an advisor, being a guide, and not coming from a place of hurt like a lot of these guys come from, where it's just like, stack money, get chicks, that's not how people really want to live. They want to live in alignment and attunement to themselves and, cultivate a sensitivity that they usually often rejected in themselves. And so I want to talk about that stuff again because I think it's really important. And in fact, I was over the last weekend. Yeah. Last weekend I went to a party for one of my good friend's 30th birthdays. And I was talking just to these people about finding purpose and alignment and, trying to navigate, I guess, authenticity in this digital world. And this girl came up to me about even relationship problems, about, her man isn't really living up to his fullest potential. There's disconnections, in their dynamic. And I love this shit. Like, I'll be honest, I just want to be Rafiki from, from The Lion King. I just want to be a kooky elder with a moon that just gives esoteric advice and communes with the higher spirits and, has those downloads of wisdom and information. And you can't really do that when your nervous system is out of alignment, when you are not attuned, right? When your nervous system is not picking up on the signals from the world above. So that's why it's hard to be creative, because you're so focused, your energy is so focused on survival mode. And really the best place to create from, when it comes to anything that you want to do is to create from a sense of abundance and a full heart, as opposed to a closed heart and feeling like you are at risk. And like the concept of the starving artist is not good, because it really, if your physical and mental vessel isn't tuned to download the creative energy from the world, because this is where we get it from, right? It comes from within and downloads from without. You're not going to get the right messages. You're going to, if you are hurt, then you're going to hurt people in your actions, because you are coming from survival mode as opposed to giving abundantly, right? And that's what I need to do, is really build stability in myself, get some abundance going again, right? Pour as much as I can from a full cup, which means getting a job, getting stability back in my life, making sure that my priorities are looked after with my family and stuff. So that's what I've been focusing on for now. And then I keep building from an abundant place and giving from an abundant place. And that means I'm much more generous. It means that I'm much more aligned. And you'll feel it in the work. You'll feel it in the way they communicate with you. Yeah, there is an energetic difference. And if you are, again, I'm plugging the fuck out of the newsletter, because the EQ Masterclass ties so much of what I'm talking about together into one bit of work, and I'm really excited to get this out. Okay. Yeah, but talking about energy and emotional energy and recognizing that within yourself, and actually understanding that emotional intelligence is the new human intelligence. It always has been. We always talk about like technology and like artificial intelligence. EQ, human intelligence, human knowledge about yourself and the world around you and your feelings, that is what's going to change the world. That is what's going to create the most impact in your life. Because if you don't feel right in your soul, in your body, in your mind about how you perceive the world, because you're so hurt and traumatized and you don't realize that you're repressing emotions and pain and trauma, then that's what creates the survival mode mentality, because your source code, your internal vessel, is out of alignment, right? Think of it like a radio station, and you're completely tuned out and you're just crackling all the time. So it means if you're crackling and there's all that fuzz and you are not feeling positive inside, whatever you see in the world will reflect that. And so I've been pushing against that for months, pushing against the survival mode, my environment, the situation, and I've been pushing, but it's been at the cost of my own actual well-being. So I guess, again, this has been pretty long-winded, but again, this is just real as hell, telling you where I'm at and telling you the journey and the story of where I'm coming from. So to wrap up here, folks, I'm doing great. I appreciate the support. I appreciate, everything that you guys have given me. It's so beautiful to have a community. I do feel guilty about not being more consistent with my messaging and being out in the world, but folks, like, this is no shit been the worst 8 months of my life. The most 12 plus most challenging if you put on top me building and going all in. And yeah, I'm a human that has only so much capacity, only so much resilience to give. A lot of people, there was a little Trump impression for you, that I talk to about are like, how the fuck are you still alive? And I'll be really fucking real with you guys. Just before I left for Thailand, I did dip into some suicidal ideations, just for like a split second, just being like, oh, how nice would this be if I could just have the relief of that? And that was the huge red flag for me, to be like, I gotta get the fuck out, I gotta dip and go focus on me for a bit, just drop everything and stop pouring myself out from this empty cup, because it's getting to the literal bottom of the barrel. But yes, anyway, I'm filling up my cup. Ideally, I'll be focusing on the newsletter. If I get this job, or once I get any job, really, what I'm going to be doing, I've already had this idea, is instead of the building in public vlog, I'll just do a little visual diary like this, really low key, really simple, of telling you how I'm going about my sales process and using the tools that I've built in Tech Sales Academy and eating my own dog food about how this works for you, right? And you just lead by my example, because I'm in the field again, okay? So that'll be a new content stream. I will be going back to my podcast after I finish writing the EQ and Sales Masterclass and ebook. That'll probably be like a month or two, because I also got to balance out a full-time job dealing with basically almost a lawsuit with my investment property, getting my family stabilized, and then this has to come forth, right? fifth, really, because then my mental health and actually staying above water to maintain all this shit has to come there as well. So stick with the newsletter for now. I'll put a link. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, please do. It's cool shit. I've also expanded the newsletter to not just talk about tech sales every week. I will be actually integrating what I'm talking about here: spirituality, my lessons from my growth and self-development journey, stuff that'll help you become a more integrated, more conscious human being. And that's the direction that I want to go in, right? Is I want to have fun in this brand. I want to be real as fuck with you guys. I want to be unfiltered about the realities of your healing journey, your self-actualization journey, based on my 5 years of obsession as investing $100,000 of cash and still now today in myself, and give you that. That's the gift that I want to give in my brand. That's what I want to share with you guys to help you live better lives, right? I've understood that putting out positive, useful energy and just being as generous and real as I can is what has created what I've got so far. I've got this beautiful sapling of a community, and I need to nurture it, and I need to be a fuller human being to you guys to give you the example of being a fuller human being in your life. So that's expressed through the podcast, the Binge Thinker, which will come out maybe in a couple of months. It's expressed through the changing of the Conscious Technologist newsletter, which was the top 1% club newsletter. It's a Conscious Technologist. It's a lot more personal, a lot more real. Still be tech sales tips in there, but again, it'll just be a much more diverse array of topics. And I will say, it's not safe for work, right? I'm being real as fuck with you guys. I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of interesting stuff, like plant medicines, psychedelics, the healing process and how ugly it really is. Like, I'm giving you real shit, ladies and gentlemen, real shit. And so there'll be that. Newsletter, podcast, and then squeezing in more just lo-fi advice columns like this as well. So if you do want to catch up with me in a much more unfiltered way, and sample what the Binge Thinker will be like, it'll be like this, the way I'm talking to you right now. And then I've also got a playlist of the Binge Thinker episodes where I was talking about my journey. I've talked about my entire tech sales career journey, from my first job in B2B sales, the first sales job, all the way being a top 1% salesperson. It's like 7 or 8 episodes. It's a good listen because I'm talking mad shit. I'm unfiltered, having a bunch of fun, and just giving you an unfiltered reality of what this game is like and who I am, right? And that's the person that I want to be. Just being able to express authentically from the core, so I don't have to feel like I'm hiding anything, because that's what we're trying to get away from, right? Is inauthenticity. We're sick of the bullshit that's out in the world. We want real shit. I know we want real shit, right? And that's what I'm giving you. So again, to wrap up, thanks for being on this journey. You can tell that it's been on my mind. There's a lot that's going on in my life, and I just wanted to share that with you guys about where I'm currently at and the shifting sands and the evolution. That's a better way to put it. I'm evolving my brand to be more aligned to who I am. Encouraging you to be multidimensional, helping you transform not just your career but your lives, yourselves. Just having fun in the process and building, re-articulating my brand and realigning my brand to who I authentically want to be in my business, who I want to be for the rest of my life, right? And just not have to hide that. And then if you love it, great. If you don't, that's fine, right? There's plenty of other sales influencers out there that you can listen to. If you vibe, you vibe. And that's what I have to be really sure about, is that you'll vibe. And I trust you will, because I think you guys can sense the depth of what I'm doing here. And I hope it helps you, right? Everything I'm doing here is to help, to be of service. So, but I need to be well within myself to, properly serve you. And that's really why I have to make decisions that really frustrate my lack of consistency and how I feel about being inconsistent inside. But, I am in this very transitionary phase in my life, a very unstable part of my life, and ideally I should be building this from stability. That's been one of the big lessons from this time. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm getting stability. That's why I have to be a bit quieter. I do appreciate you. I love you all. And once I do get a few more wins in the family life and the personal life, we're going to do some really cool, interesting, unique shit together. And I'm excited by it. But, for now, life has to be lived and responsibilities have to be kept. And that's what I'm doing. Anyway, I think I've just rambled on and off. The coffee is strong. I wish you well. I thank you all so much for being patient and being a part of this journey with me. And I cannot wait to serve you from a much more aligned place. And we're going to have a lot more fun in the process. I guarantee it, folks. I fucking guarantee it. Anyway, appreciate you. Talk soon.